Hey guys, it's Saga from TechWorks, and here is my camera review of my iPhone XS Max. In the past 2.5 weeks that I have had this phone, I traveled to some of my favorite places in and around Pune to shoot a lot of image and video samples. I have also shot many images with the Pixel 2 and the OnePlus 6, which means there is going to be a comparison video in the coming days. So make sure you hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss out the camera comparison between the iPhone XS Max, Pixel 2 and the OnePlus 6. Now before we get to the image and video samples from the iPhone XS Max, let us first get its camera specifications out of the way. The camera module is more or less similar to that of the iPhone X and it still sticks out of the back. But Apple tells us that the primary camera in this module has an all-new bigger sensor with deeper pixels. It has a 26mm wide lens and a same resolution of 12 megapixel with a wide aperture of f1.8 as we saw on the iPhone X. But the actual sensor is now bigger and each individual pixel has a size of 1.4 micron, so it captures much more light. Secondary camera has a telephoto lens of 52mm and again a similar resolution of 12 megapixel with an aperture of f2.4. Both the cameras are optically stabilized and now they have twice the number of autofocus pixels, so the focusing speed is even faster than before. There is also a quad LED true tone flash to assist while taking images in very low lighting conditions. You still get portrait lighting modes, which lets you add various professional lighting effects to your shots, and now you can also change the amount of blur in the background of these portrait shots while you are editing these images. You can shoot 4K videos at 24, 30 and 60 frames per second and 1080p videos at 30, 60, 120 and 240 frames per second. And all of these videos can now record stereo audio. At the front, you have a 7 megapixel true depth camera with an aperture of f2.2, and you can now shoot 1080p 60fps videos with this camera. With the new iPhones and A12 Bionic chip, Apple is now embracing computational photography. So the camera hardware, combined with some smart software, is capable of delivering amazing results. Apple is still burying the option to change any of the video resolutions deep in the settings app. So every time you need to shoot at different resolution, you have to go to settings, scroll down to the camera settings and then make the desired changes. I think they should simplify things and let us make these changes right from within the camera. Now with all the specifications out of the way, let us take a look at image and video samples from this phone. All the images are shot in auto mode with Smart HDR turned on. The sample images that Apple showed in their keynote got me really excited for these new iPhones. And looking at the images that I took, I have to say I'm pretty impressed. Thanks to a larger sensor size, there are much more details in these images. Everything is crisp and sharp while capturing images in daylight. Colors also look very good, but they are a bit warmer and slightly saturated compared to the actual scene. From last year, Apple has made some changes to the image processing and colors are a bit vibrant and saturated, and the overall images are slightly warmer compared to previous iPhones. And depending on your color preference, you may or may not like this. The secondary lens allows you to take 2x zoomed images like these. This secondary camera does not have a larger sensor, but it has OIS, so the sensor can capture more light, resulting in detailed and sharp images. These optically zoomed images have much more details compared to the 2x digitally zoomed images. Now Smart HDR is one of the best additions to these new iPhones. It offers an amazing dynamic range. Without Smart HDR, the tree in this image would have been completely black, and due to the bright sun in the background, the sky would have also been completely blown out. Here are two images with and without Smart HDR turned on. Look at the amount of details being brought back from the shadows and the colors that are being preserved thanks to Smart HDR. The normal HDR feature on the iPhone X last year was also pretty good, but it was nowhere close to the enhanced HDR feature found on the Pixel 2. With Smart HDR, that gap has been reduced by quite a lot. I've also shot these images with the Pixel 2 and the OnePlus 6, so in my next video, we will see if the Smart HDR on the iPhone XS Max can take on the enhanced HDR mode on the Pixel 2. In these overcast conditions, when there wasn't enough sunlight, XS Max was still able to capture good looking images with lot of details. Usually, in these situations, there is a lot of noise in the darker parts of the image, but the image processing on the XS Max is doing a very good job of keeping the noise down. With this new camera, we have twice the amount of focus pixels, and as you can see, it can switch the focus from near to far object very quickly. Quick and accurate focusing is important while taking these close-up shots. Thanks to a very wide f1.8 aperture, the background in these close-up shots is blurred out very nicely, leaving the subject in perfect sharp focus. Many people say that they don't take a lot of images with the portrait mode, but I am not one of them. Whenever possible, I prefer taking images with the portrait mode turned on, especially when there is ample light. The portrait mode on this XS Max combined with Smart HDR feature is simply amazing. Portrait mode has been getting better with time ever since it was announced with the iPhone 7 Plus, and now it is nearly perfect. Just look at how well it differentiates between the subject and the background, and now it is much better around the hair and glasses. It still struggles a bit at times, but if you take a few extra seconds to compose your shot, the results are amazing. You still get portrait lighting effects, but I don't use them too often. And now, you also have the ability to change the blur in the background of these portrait images after you have clicked an image. Apple is definitely not the first to implement this, but the way in which the blur is applied is definitely unique. Other manufacturers detect the subject that should be in focus and then apply same amount of blur to the remaining background. Whereas these new iPhones detect how far the various elements in background are, and then depending on the distance, they are blurred out more or less. You can play around with the aperture slider while editing portrait shots, but I found somewhere around 4 to 5.5 to be around the sweet spot where the images look most natural. Portrait mode on any smartphone is designed to take images of people, but I also love to try this mode on objects, and here are some of the results. With time, iPhone camera has got very good at detecting the edges of non-human objects as well. It is definitely not perfect, especially while detecting edges of complex objects or with things like straws or glasses of water. But trust me, it is much better than before. I have seen smartphones priced much lower than this, taking better portrait mode images of objects. So I think Apple should work even harder to make the portrait mode perfect. As we move to indoor and artificial lighting conditions, cameras on the iPhone XS Max still continue to impress. And in this particular shot, you can see a lot of details inside and also out of the window. As I said before, colors are a bit warmer, but they look good for the most part. Thanks to a bigger sensor and optical image stabilization, the camera can gather more details and even be open for a few extra milliseconds to let in more light, so the images are detailed and there is less amount of noise in them. As we start moving to even lower lighting situations, you can still pull off some very good shots. Normally there would be much more noise in these images and the text in lower light would be pretty much unreadable. But as you can see, these images are clear and the text is perfectly sharp. There is some noise when we click images in even lower light, but that doesn't make the images distracting or unusable. If you like taking images with the front-facing camera, the 7-megapixel 2-depth sensor delivers great results in ample light. Colors and dynamic range from the front-facing camera are also very good, and I think the beauty gate issue is being blown out of proportion. It is just the new aggressive noise reduction at work, and trust me, it is not a big deal. As you can see, there are plenty of details in these daylight selfies, and the dynamic range is much improved for this front-facing camera as well. Here are some of the low-light selfies. You can see that even these are filled with details. They might be a bit softer when compared side by side to some of the other phones, but on their own, these images look pretty good. You can take portrait mode images with this selfie camera, and the results are much better than the previous iPhones. It is much better at detecting the edges and separating the background, but on occasion, it can still miss certain parts of your hair and blur it out. Again, the dynamic range on this front-facing camera is greatly improved, but it still struggles if you have multiple people in the shot. It keeps the face closest to the camera in sharp focus while blurring out all the other faces in the shot. I would say the portrait mode on the front-facing camera is better than the iPhone X, but it is still not as good as some of the other Android smartphones. Here is a video from the front-facing camera of the iPhone XS Max. You can see how it handles the exposure of the scene, overall colors, and the stabilization when I walk with it. Coming to the video footage, iPhone XS Max is one of the best in its class. It can shoot 4K 30fps videos with an amazing dynamic range. Since both its cameras have optical image stabilization, the overall stabilization of the video is really good. It can also shoot 4K 60fps videos. You can play these videos as they are or even slow them down to have a nice cinematic video experience. For slow motion, you have the option to shoot at 120 or 240 frames per second in 1080p resolution, and you get to choose the parts of video that you want to slow down later on. These are without a doubt the best cameras on an iPhone yet. Thanks to larger sensor, wide aperture, telephoto lens, optical stabilization on both these lenses, and software features like Smart HDR, you can take amazing images and videos with it. It is definitely an improvement over the iPhone X in the camera department. If you are using an iPhone 7 or any phone from before that, upgrading to the iPhone XS or XS Max will get you a much needed bump in the camera performance. But if you already have the iPhone X, then unless you absolutely want to spend the extra money, want that new gold color, or need a bigger display, I would say you can skip this year's iPhones and see what Apple has to offer next year. So after looking at over 90 image and video samples, what do you guys think about the cameras on this new iPhone XS Max? And which phones do you want me to compare its camera with? Let me know in the comments. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.